Hey everyone, Jo here with SportsGrid. It's time for Puckett. I almost said let's have a Puckett cup of Jo. We're not doing that. We're going to go over the full slate today. There's a loaded card, plenty of opportunities to make some money. Let's make some freaking money. That is for sure. It is definitely a good day. Ovechkin shots on goal. That was a good one for sure. Tags, not rage. Tag stomp. Tag. And now I can't say it. Thompson. Kev, let's get this money today. Okay. Let's fly through this, you guys. I will be on Game Time Decisions later, so make sure you join me over there as well. The first game we're going to look at is the Ottawa Senators taking on the Boston Bruins. Now, I know the frustration has been coming in with the Boston Bruins not being able to cover that puck line as of late. They got that win over the Flyers, but it was a 6-5 win. And then versus the Montreal Canadiens, they weren't able to cover that puck line either. Montreal always plays them tight, so that's something to note. Looking here at the Ottawa Senators, we'll go over lines, but I do think the Sens can keep it tight as well. Plus 184 here for the Ottawa Senators, the Boston Bruins at minus 225, total 6.5. That's 6.5 juice to the under at minus 130, plus 106 to the over. Corpusalo and Omar are the expected goalies in this. Now, the Sens are off that loss to the Carolina Hurricanes, in which they got lit up. The Carolina Hurricanes were able to win that one 5-2. But when we look at the Senators in their 6 games prior, they've kept all of those games within 1 goal. So they've been playing in tight games. The puck line there for the Senators coming in at plus 1.5 is minus 132. And I do think that holds value for me. And then I also do like a small sprinkle on the money line at plus 184. We're not seeing enough out of the Boston Bruins where they're emotionally invested in these games. They're sitting first in the Atlantic with 95 points. And we know the Ottawa Senators, they're last. They're sitting 8th in the Atlantic. Boston, it's like they're afraid to go into the playoffs with the best record overall. I do think they're buying into what happens when that one team, what's it called? I'm like drawing blanks today. The superstition of the team that takes it all. So I do think because that happened to them last year, they're going kind of into the playoffs here a little less aggressive so that they don't run out of steam. Looking at the Sens in this one, plus 1.5, I do think is the best value at minus 132. The sprinkle on the money line as well. If you want to get crazy, you can look at that reverse puck line. First puck line here for the Ottawa Senators coming in at minus 1.5 at plus 480. Do I think they'll get it? No. I couldn't believe the value on that reverse puck line because I do think they can keep it tight here. But I don't like the opportunity of them being able to cover. I do think the money line, though, is worth a sprinkle. So we did see the Bruins win all of the last 3 meetings as well, all lower scoring games. So they have played in tight, lower scoring games. This one has a possibility to go to overtime. We know how many of these games with Boston have gone to overtime. So for the Ottawa Senators to push them to overtime, that's coming in at plus 380. And because I think it's going to be that tight of a game, I would take a chance on that OT in this one. The last 4 games have been lower scoring and 8 of the last 10. So give me a lower scoring game, chance to go to overtime, and the Senators on that puck line at plus 1.5 at minus 132. Yeah, I just couldn't believe the value on that reverse puck line for the Sens. It's kind of crazy. I don't think I can get. Yeah, the President's Trophy curse. Curse was the word that I was looking for. I couldn't think of the word curse. I was thinking plague, and I'm like, it's not a plague. So words are fun sometimes, that's for sure. Let's look at the next game here, the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Detroit Red Wings. This one kicking off at 7 p.m. Eastern as well. Current lines over on FanDuel for this one. The Columbus Blue Jackets coming in at plus 142, minus 172 for the Red Wings. Total of 6.5, minus 128 to the over 6.5 and plus 104 to the under. Now, we have the Red Wings coming into this game off that loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins in a game where they allowed the Penguins to put up 6 goals on them. So disappointing to see the Red Wings go from the couple of games where they weren't able to score offensively to then locking down on the defense, being able to put up those goals to that game versus the Penguins. But the Penguins and the Red Wings in the same sort of boat fighting for that wild card spot. Looking here, James Reimer will get the start for the Red Wings. He has a 2.97 goals against average and a 906 save percentage. When we look at the Columbus Blue Jackets, Tarasov will be in goal. Now, this is the first game on the road for them. They do have the Avs on Friday, Vegas on Saturday, the Coyotes on Tuesday, and the Pittsburgh Penguins on Thursday. So quite the road trip here for the Columbus Blue Jackets. They have lost 4 of their last 5, including their last loss on Sunday to the Winnipeg Jets, where the Winnipeg Jets completely rolled right over them, winning that one 6-1. I do think in this one, Columbus still struggles to score. They've lost their last 4 games as an underdog. This team in the underdog position, it's not one that I'm able to trust. I do think we could see the Red Wings get a big win in this one. That puck line for the Red Wings coming in at -1.5 at +136. I do like, they've won 4 of the last 5 meetings over the Columbus Blue Jackets, including in November. They won that one 5-4, and they covered the puck line in 3 of those. So they have been strong in their last 5 against the Red Wings, and I think they can cover the puck line in this one as well. Their problem is they have to stay out of the penalty box. This team takes too many penalties and allows their opponents to be able to capitalize. Now, the good thing here, though, is the power play for the Columbus Blue Jackets isn't that strong. It's only converting at 14%. Their kill is not so great either at 77.3% of the time for Columbus. And the power play is connecting for the Red Wings at 23.1%. So they do have the advantage on that side of things when they get on that power play. We'll see what they're able to do. Their defense has to stop allowing these shots on goal as well. When we look at the last game out versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, the defense didn't stop anything. They allowed 38 shots on net. So you can't blame a game like that on their goaltending when their defense isn't playing any defense out there. Now, I do lean for this one to go over. I could see this being a 4-3 style game if that empty netter comes in. So I'm not going to touch this total because I do like the puck line here with the Red Wings. I'm really hoping, sorry, not 4-3. I'm thinking, no, it's still 4-2. That puck line, I want it to cover. This one is so close to that 6.5. I lean it over. I wouldn't want to take an under with the Red Wings because I do think this team is strong offensively. The Columbus Blue Jackets haven't been scoring, though. So if you want to take a total, I'd look at the Red Wings team total first to that over. But when you look at this, it does scream like 4-3 style game. But if we get that empty netter, that would be a 5-3 style game. Either way, it goes over with those totals. But it all depends on James Reimer and if he allows the Columbus Blue Jackets to get that many goals. So I could more likely see the Columbus Blue Jackets get 2. So if you're going to take an over in this one, I would lean on the Red Wings team total over that 3.5 because they're the team I believe in getting 4 or nothing. I probably wouldn't take the 6.5, but 7 of the last 10 meetings have gone over that total. So I do think it should go over. Let's look at the next one here. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the New Jersey Devils. Jimmy, good evening. Yeah, I don't know how curse couldn't come to my mind. That's quite the word that shouldn't slip your mind. Okay, the Pittsburgh Penguins and New Jersey Devils. This one kicks off at 7:10 Eastern. So the Pittsburgh Penguins coming in at -105, the New Jersey Devils at -114. Total 6.5, -118 to the under, and -104 to the over. I was actually expecting the juice to be flipped in these. And then the more I started looking at how strong Jake Allen has been for the New Jersey Devils, he's been absolutely phenomenal. So it's hard to take an over in this one, even though we know the Pittsburgh Penguins were able to put up all those goals on the Red Wings, getting that big win on Sunday, 6-3. When we look at the Devils, though, Jake Allen has a 3.39 goals against average on the season at 897 save percentage, but he stopped versus Vegas, 34-36 shots on goal versus the Vegas Golden Knights. And then you look at him versus the Stars, he stopped 35-37 shots on goal. So it's only been 2 games since he's been over with the Devils. The Devils still allowing these shots to come in, but he's standing on his head for his new team. So I do think this is something to take into account when you look at this total. Now, the New Jersey Devils, we know this team is so explosive offensively. Tristan Jarry will be in goal for the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. Now, he has a 2.79 goals against average and a 906 save percentage. He's off a terrible game versus the New York Rangers, in which he allowed 6 goals on 32 shots on net. That's not great for Tristan Jarry, but again, we should have seen his defense giving him some more support because, 23 shots on goal. 6 goals on 23 shots. I was thinking 32 shots on goal. It was only 23 shots on goal. So Jarry is needing that bounce back. Now, this is a battle of the Metro. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins sitting with 69 points and the New Jersey Devils sitting with 68 points. So these two battling it out here. The New Jersey Devils have won the last 6 straight meetings, including in November, 5-2. So they do have the edge in this one. I think looking at the New Jersey Devils here on the money line makes sense at -114. It's interesting, though, because money has been coming in on the Pittsburgh Penguins all day. We saw the New Jersey Devils open up as a -140 favorite, and now they've come down to that -118. I still think the New Jersey Devils should be able to get the win in this one. Jasper Bratt has been absolutely phenomenal. I'd look at him for the anytime goal here for the New Jersey Devils. He's been able to get completely on the board. He collected a goal and an assist in the last game. Out for him versus the Pittsburgh Penguins. I like him for the anytime goal in this one. It's the first game on the road for the Penguins as well. They have the Stars on Friday and the Avs on Sunday. So this is probably the easiest game. Now, Sidney Crosby has been really stepping up. So if you want to take Sidney Crosby for the anytime goal or Rust for that anytime goal, I would definitely look at them. Russ had 2 assists and 2 goals over his last 3 games. So he has been really stepping up for this team as well. So I like all of those players. I do think this one goes over that total of 6.5. And like I said, I was shocked that the juice is coming to the under. I think Jake Allen, while he's done absolutely fantastic, can he keep it up against a desperate Pittsburgh team? This team is going to be desperate. Both of these teams playing desperate hockey tonight, trying to record these wins over each other. So neither team can afford to lose this game. So I look at both of these teams and I do think they revert to really strong offensive games rather than locking down defensively. And I know we've seen the Devils lock down in some of these games on the defensive side, and I know the Penguins have every ability as well. But I'm looking for this one to be a fast offensive game out of both of these teams. Okay, next game on deck, we have the Winnipeg Jets taking on the New York Rangers. Connor Hellebuck expected and Igor Shesterkin expected here for the New York Rangers. Now, odds on this game are coming in at the New York Rangers -126 here at home, +105 for the Winnipeg Jets, total of 5.5. It's a -110 to the over and under in this one. If you like the Rangers to win this big, -1.5 on that puck line is +205. You'd have to look at the reverse puck line there for the Winnipeg Jets. Because the regular puck line, the +1.5 is +255. So you don't want to go there with that. Okay. So the Winnipeg Jets can't take penalties in this game. They have to play a clean game. If they take these penalties, we will see the New York Rangers be able to capitalize on their mistakes. So the New York Rangers power play is so strong at 25.4%. And the kill here, the Winnipeg Jets, is only stopping 78% of their opponent's power plays. And when we look at the New York Rangers, the Rangers are able to kill 83.4, and the power play isn't strong for the Winnipeg Jets at 19.3. So it is mandatory here for the Winnipeg Jets if they want to try to get this win to stay out of that penalty box. Now, we saw the New York Rangers win in Winnipeg in overtime back in October. It was a 3-2 win. We did see the Jets win, and this is only the second meeting between these two of the season. The Winnipeg Jets won both of the meetings last season. I expect these teams to lock down on the defensive side, and I know I keep talking about it over the last couple days. Teams really starting to look towards the playoffs, playing more defensive style hockey, and I know we haven't seen it in a lot of these. The New York Rangers last game, I did think we were going to see more of a lockdown. They were able to get the win on Sunday versus the Islanders 5-2. But again, it pushed it over the total because they came out so explosive after they allowed a couple goals to the Islanders. And then the Winnipeg Jets, they won their last two. They got that big win over the Columbus Blue Jackets on the road, 6-1. So they pushed it over that total as well. But when I look at these teams and the teams that they've pushed it over against, I don't see the defense that we're seeing out of both of these defenses here. The Winnipeg Jets, I truly believe in this defense. They're allowing 2.34 goals per game and 28.3 shots on net. And Connor Hellebuck in net is phenomenal with the 2.31 goals against average and a 9.22 save percentage. And when we look at Igor Shesterkin here, he's got a 2.59 goals against average and a 9.12 save percentage. So I do expect goaltending. I do expect defenses to show up. But because I've been burnt by these totals of 5.5, taking it to the under, especially in that third period, I'm looking at the first period here. Fingers crossed, you guys, because I'm taking the first period under 1.5. It's -122, but I'm also taking the no goal in the first 10 minutes. I do expect, because this is only the second meeting between these two, and that last meeting was all the way back in October, that there's a feeling out process. And that's what we saw versus the Avs and the Oilers in that game on, I believe, was it Sunday night? My days become just combined together. The last time we saw the Edmonton Oilers and the Avs out, it was the first time of this season. We all, I expected it to be a highly explosive offensive game. What we saw in that first period was complete lockdown of both of these teams on the defensive side, really feeling each other out. I do think the Winnipeg Jets and the New York Rangers will start with the same style. So no goal in the first 10 minutes is coming in at +104, and the under 1.5 in the first period at -122. As long as the Jets don't take the penalties. If the Jets take the penalties in the first period, the New York Rangers will capitalize, and we'll have a 2-0 first period here out of the New York Rangers. And then you guys know I'll be crying. So it won't be good. I do think this one has every opportunity of staying under the 5.5. But like I said, I've been burnt. And with these teams at the end there battling it out, we could see anything happen. These teams are absolutely phenomenal. First in the Central here for the Winnipeg Jets, and the first in the Metro for the New York Rangers. This should be what we could see in the Stanley Cup. This should be elite hockey out there. And I say should. Give me that first period. Okay. The Toronto Maple Leafs take on the Philadelphia Flyers at 7:09 Eastern. This one kicks off. -134 here for the Leafs and +114 for the Flyers. Total of 6.5. Now that 6.5 is -120 to the under, -102 to the over. And if you like the Leafs on the puck line, -1.5 is coming in at +172. Samsonov is expected here for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Ergen for the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, when we look at Ergen's numbers, he's got a 2.67 goals against average and an 8.98 save percentage on the season. He allowed 3 goals on 3 shots on goal by the Leafs the last game before being pulled off the ice. So he struggled out there the last time versus the Leafs. These teams just played, and he got pulled. He's been struggling in the month of March. He's had 6 starts in the month of March. He's gone 2-3-1 with a 3.49 goals against average and an 8.79 save percentage. I don't trust him out there. And I do think with how strong Toronto has played the Flyers over the years, that they should be able to get the win. They've won the last 8 straight meetings versus the Philadelphia Flyers. My problem here is we've seen the lines really light for the Toronto Maple Leafs as of late, where you're questioning why you're not having to lay more juice on the Toronto Maple Leafs when we know that the books normally overprice them. They're sitting third in the Atlantic, and the Flyers are surprisingly sitting third in the Metro here. The last time Toronto won, it was just on Thursday, and it was a 6-2 win. So they had that big explosive one. They covered the puck line in 6 of the 8 wins versus Philly too. So like I said, they've won 8 straight, covered the puck line in 6 of those. I'm going to look at the Leafs to come out strong in the first period. The Leafs are off that loss to the Canes, and they were up on the Carolina Hurricanes, allowed the Canes to get back into the game, and then the Canes won in a shootout 5-4 on Saturday. So you got to think Toronto has to be mad off of that. You know they're going to want to come out explosive offensively. This team phenomenally strong offensively, led by Austin Matthews. Mitch Marner's still out of the lineup. Now Samsonov will be in net for them tonight. And I really do like what we've seen as of late out of Samsonov. Now his overall numbers on the season aren't that solid, with a 3.09 goals against average and an 8.89 save percentage. But I do think in this game here versus the Flyers that he stands tall in net. This is the first night of a back-to-back. The Capitals are on deck for Toronto tomorrow. And then they have the Oilers at home on Sunday and the Carolina Hurricanes at home on Sunday. So they've got a really hard weekend ahead of them. They need this win. Sitting third in the Atlantic, they need to pick up these points here. So I do think they come out big in the first period. Give me the puck line minus a half a goal at plus 138. They put up 3 goals in the first period versus the Flyers in their last game out. And I know the Flyers will look to get revenge on that, but I just can't do it. Yeah, and the team total over 3.5. I do like their team total over 3.5. I was seeing 4.5s out there. Let's just see what we're seeing now. It's kind of why I stayed off it. When I see a 4.5, I'm not in love with any team getting 5 goals in any given night as they play stay away defense. But we are getting the 3.5 in this one on FanDuel, the over 3.5 coming in at plus 108. It is kind of worrisome that we are seeing good numbers for a Toronto game. That's all I have to say. You guys know, you look at these lines enough and you know the books sometimes know what's going to happen, and these lines kind of indicate it. Toronto should be a bigger dog in this case based on what we normally get. Yeah, the Lightning are in action tonight. Let's look at the next game here. That's just my 2 cents on that game. That game's going to be interesting, but I do think Leafs first period. I'm going to stay off them for the full game, though. That line scares me. The Carolina Hurricanes and the New York Islanders. Okay, Krochikov here for the Canes, Sorokin for the Islanders. I know the Islanders have lost their last 4, and I know how many goals they allowed to the Rangers, but I do think Sorokin at home in this game should be able to come out strong. Now, his overall numbers on the season not looking good at 3.03 and a 908 save percentage, but I do think in this one, we will see a strong performance out of him. Now, current lines, we have the Carolina Hurricanes on the road here at minus 160, plus 132 here for the New York Islanders, total 5.5. 5.5 juice to that over at minus 134 and plus 110 to the under. I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did in the Winnipeg Jets game and the New York Rangers. I'm going to take this one under in the first period. Give me the under 1.5 in the first period. That's coming in at minus 110. I believe in the defenses on both sides. While the defense of the Islanders still allow these shots to come in, we're starting to see them getting in front of that puck a lot more. And we know the Carolina Hurricanes are so strong on the defensive side, not allowing these shots to come raining in on their goaltender. So a lockdown on D on both sides. We know the Canes hold opponents to 25.7 shots on goal per game. The thing is here in this one, the Islanders have the worst. Like I'm talking the absolute worst kill in the league. They completely struggle to lock down the opponent when the opponent's on the power play, only locking down 71.8% of the time. We look at the Carolina Hurricanes here. Their power play is converting at 26.1%, 4th best overall in the league. If the Islanders play a dirty game, find themselves in the box, they will get absolutely destroyed in this game. I do think that first period is the most cautious period out there because I think this is another game once the floodgates open up. We will see if Carolina gets up. The Islanders make those mistakes out there under frustration out there on the ice, and this one could go over that total. So give me the first period under 1.5 at minus 110. Now, we do have the Islanders sitting right on the bubble of a wild card spot. They're sitting 5th in the Metro. This is kind of do or die kind of situation for the Islanders. They have to get this win. They can't keep losing these games and have a chance of making the playoffs. It's not mathematically out of equation right now if they lose tonight, but it's going to be pretty quick here if they continue to pull these losses each and every night. Like I said, they've lost their last 4. So They'd won 6 in a row before that. They were looking so good out there on the ice. But give me the under 1.5 in the first period, and then I'm done with this game, you guys. 3 of the last 4 meetings have gone to overtime between these two as well. So the overtime bet here coming in at plus 360, I do think has value in this game. I could see them battling it back and forth in a low-scoring one. Islander boys are going down tonight. Okay, the Canes, you think, are going to win it. Thailanders. There could be a tie tonight in this one. Carolina is on absolute fire. Alt over 6.5. Oh, wow. You're going to see a big game here. I do think we could see a big game here, especially if the Canes get up quick and the Islanders start making those mistakes. So I think first period under, and then if we can get a 0-0 first period, we go into that second. The books drop that total to 4.5. I am flying over that total. Let's look at the San Jose Sharks and the Nashville Predators. This one kicks off at 8 p.m. Eastern, you guys. The San Jose Sharks, huge dogs here at plus 365. Crazy, the Preds, minus 490 for the Nashville Predators. I don't know the last time I saw the Predators so high. Total of 6.5 plus 110 to the over, minus 134 to the under. There's not even value on the Preds on the puck line. Minus 1.5 is minus 176 right now. You have to do alt puck line here if you like the Preds to be able to win this big. I do think, and someone looked this up for me because it's not on FanDuel, Saros is the net for the Predators. Saros for a shutout tonight. The last time we saw a goalie with strong numbers versus his opponent was Cam Talbot versus, I can't remember, and he got the shutout. I believe it was Cam Talbot. Saros here. Overall in the season, he has a 2.80 goals against average. No, it was Boussois. Boussois was able to get the shutout, and he had numbers like this. Saros, 2.80 goals against average on the season and a 908 save percentage. When we look at him versus the Sharks, strong numbers. He's gone 11-2-1 versus the Sharks in his career. He has a 1.76 goals against average versus them with a 940 save percentage. I do think Saros for the shutout tonight is going to be money. The Sharks, we know, struggle to score. We know how many players are injured. We know that they traded off top forwards out there for them. Hurdle going to the Vegas Golden Knights. Couture is back out injured. This team is struggling, and they're struggling big time now. They've lost their last 4 versus the Chicago Blackhawks, who have a weak defense. They were only able to still put up 2 goals. Now, I really did like what we saw out of Devin Cooley, the young goalie that came up, making his debut in that game versus Chicago. Even though those 5 goals came raining in, I think he has a promising career ahead of him. It won't be him tonight. It will be Mackenzie Blackwood. He allows beach balls to go in. He's got a 3.48 goals against average and an 899 save percentage. It's the Preds. It's the Preds. Saros for the shutout. If you guys seeing Saros for the shutout, let us know what you're thinking. Nashville minus 1.5. Yeah, it was minus 145 earlier in the day. Okay, so the couple of things you could look at because everything's so juicy for the Predators right now. This is their first game home off a road trip, though, so that is a little scary. You guys know we like to fade them. They went 3-1 off that road trip, so we'll see what happens here. First period, though. First period puck line for the Preds is coming in minus a half a goal at minus 108. Preds team total over 4.5. This is the one where you need to get 5 goals. Can they get 5 goals on the Sharks? Do they continue to play? I would think so. We could see 4 goals in the first period out of the Preds. So the Preds team total over 4.5 plus 134. The Preds alt puck line laying the 2.5 is coming in at plus 108. And I'd look at the alt puck line before I looked at anything else because then you can win at 3-0. I do think if you can get Saros for a shutout on your book, you look for him. I did see one book earlier at plus 2,600. Now, who's going to score the goals out there? I would look at Forsberg. You guys know we always circle him. And Ryan O'Reilly. Both have been strong out there. The Colorado Avalanche and the St. Louis Blues is on deck next. This one kicking off at 8:10 Eastern. The Colorado Avalanche are coming in at minus 215. The St. Louis Blues at plus 176, total 6.5. Minus 115 to the under and minus 105 to the over. I think Colorado is overvalued in this, and I do think St. Louis could be barking at home. Jordan Binnington in net, and he has been strong as of late. He's got a 2.80 goals against average and a 913 save percentage. Now, the backup goalie is in for Colorado, and he has been strong, but I don't know if I trust them here. This is our last game of this road trip. This team is looking to get home. They've been rolling so hot, though. They've won their last 6. 3 of them have been overtime wins, though, of those 6. So they got the overtime win versus Edmonton in their last game, 3-2, and they have won 8 of the last 10. So stepping in front of Colorado is not something I really like to do. But the value on the St. Louis Blues plus 1.5 at minus 137, I think is there, especially when you look at Colorado and 6 of their last 9 have gone to OT. Now, this is a battle of the Central with the Colorado Avalanche with 91 points. Second in the Central. They are trying to take this division, so they do want these points, and they will be hungry to get a win over a team that's sitting 5th here in the Central. I just think with how St. Louis is playing right now, winning their last 4, yes, the last one was versus the Ducks, 4-2 on Sunday, but I think the momentum and they're finding their way back onto the bubble of a wild card spot in the Western Conference. So this is a team that's just as hungry out there. I like them on the puck line. The problem is, again, they can't take these penalties because Colorado's so phenomenally strong on the power play. The good thing for the St. Louis Blues is they take some of the least amount of penalties out there in the league. Now, their power play, if Colorado gets in the box, it's pretty weak at 18.1%. So I'm not counting on them to convert when they have that one-man advantage, but I do think Binnington will stand tall in this. So let's just look if there's confirmation of Binnington's save shots on goal, because we know Colorado is absolutely bringing it. And Jordan Binnington is coming in at 30.5. Give me Jordan Binnington over 30.5 save shots on goal all day at minus 112. As soon as we start looking at these goaltenders and the books are giving us such a high number, we've been seeing these ones hit on these goaltenders at these. So when we look at the St. Louis Blues, they are allowing an average of 32.3 shots on goal per game. We know Colorado's averaging over 32. It's 32.7 shots on goal. I do think this is one where Colorado gets probably 36. Jordan Binnington allows a couple in. 30.5 seems like a really good number to take to the over. Yeah, they did. The Blues have been rolling so hot. The dogs are barking. Yeah, let's get the dogs here as well. The Sharks have been sneaky in the first period. They have been sneaky in the first period. Flyers first period. I could see the Flyers in the first period in that one because we do have the Flyers at home in that game. Toronto, though, off the loss, and that's my concern. Toronto off the loss will be sneaky out there, and they should be giving Samsonov the protection, but we know Samsonov has allowed some early goals to come in. Okay, let's look at the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Now, Montreal always plays Edmonton tight. So Edmonton is minus 375 here on the money line, plus 290 for the Montreal Canadiens, total of 6.5, minus 118 to the under, and minus 104 to the over. When we look at the Montreal Canadiens, they've won the last 4 first periods versus Edmonton. So if you want to take Montreal in the first period, trends are backing that. They're coming in on the money line at plus 205 in the first period. We know Edmonton is so strong, and they're off that loss to the Colorado Avalanche, in which they lost at the very end in overtime 3-2. It was not what the books even expected. Edmonton was the favorite going into that one. So they're going to be frustrated here. It's not Stuart Skinner in goal, though. It is Pickard in net for the Edmonton Oilers. And while he does have solid numbers on the season, he is coming off a shutout win versus the Pens where he took 41 shots. I just don't know in this one because we look at Montreal and how tight they've played them. They've split the last 4 meetings. They've gone 2-2. Now, the Oilers did win in Montreal in January 2-1. But we end up seeing these teams be within 1 goal. So if you're looking here at the Montreal Canadiens, on that puck line. Plus 1.5 is plus 125. I would do that before I lay the 1.5 with Edmonton, but I don't love it, you guys, because we know how strong the Edmonton Oilers are when they decide to bring it. So if I'm going to do anything, it's going to be just the first period for Montreal on the money line. And it's only going to be a small sprinkle because it's Edmonton off a loss versus the Avs. It can happen, but it's also Montreal. I'm going to look at goal scorers, and there's so much value on goal scorers. I think this one does go over the total of 6.5. I'm looking for a really strong offensive performance out of both of these teams. We know Sam Montague hasn't been as strong on the season. And Pickard, I don't really trust that much, even though he did get a shutout in his last game. A little bit of regression in this one, maybe. So Connor McDavid, I'm not going to take the goals. I'm going to take him for 3+ points. That's coming in at plus 230. Connor McDavid is due for a huge explosive game. And I hate using the word due, but I'm waiting for that game. And against Sam Montague here of the Montreal Canadiens, we know Connor McDavid can get 3+ points. So quite possible. You also got to look at Nick Suzuki here of the Montreal Canadiens. And it's interesting because the books are giving you more plus money on Nick Suzuki than they are on Cole Caulfield. While Nick Suzuki has just been phenomenal at finding the back of the net, he's just trailing Austin Matthews for goals since the All-Star break. So Nick Suzuki's plus 260 for an anytime goal. Cole Caulfield at plus 200 for the anytime goal as well. You can look at so many other plays for Edmonton, but it's just going to be a play on Connor McDavid in this one for me. And 7 of the last 10 matchups between these two teams have gone to that over. I am looking for this one to go over 6.5 at minus 105. Brady, good to see you here as well. Yeah, let's get that money line in the first period for the Habs. So Hyman, goal, McDavid, 2 points. I do like Hyman for the goal. I do think that is a great way to go. Connor McDavid for 2+ points. I think you're getting that pretty even money. I don't hate it at all. Already locked in the puck line on the Oilers in the first period. You know, locking down that puck line in the first period. Edmonton has been phenomenally strong at coming out of the gate and scoring in that first period. Okay. The Minnesota Wild taking on the Anaheim Ducks. You guys, I'm going to keep this one simple. The Anaheim Ducks have struggled to find the back of the net. Gustafsson is expected in goal tonight for the Minnesota Wild. He's got a 3.26 goals against average and an 8.94 save percentage. The last game, he only allowed 2 goals on 40 shots on net by the Colorado Avalanche. I do not see the Ducks, who have not been able to score, being able to find the back of his net 3 times. So their team total under 2.5. It's juicy at minus 140, but I do think it's absolutely, well, it should hit tonight unless we see Gustafsson come out completely flat. So the under 2.5, last 8 games, they've been held to 2 or less goals. So like I said, this team struggling to light the lamp. 2 games they've been shut out versus the Wild and the Jets. Could we see the Wild shut them out here again? We absolutely could. So I do think this is one. Just take the Ducks team total under 2.5. I do like a player prop in this one. Kaprizov here for the Minnesota Wild for the anytime goals coming in at plus 105. I like him for his 2+ points. That's coming in at plus 124. He has 35 goals and 41 assists on the season in 61 games. He has a point in 7 games straight with 9 goals and 4 assists. So the 2+ points at plus 124 with Gibson in net. Now, interesting though, Gibson's numbers are strong versus the Wild. 18 career appearances versus the Wild. He's gone 7, 6, and 4. So that doesn't sound too great, but that save percentage is 0.925. So a 925 save percentage and a 2.51 goals against average. That is strong for Gibson against this team. So I do think this could be a 3-0 kind of win for the Minnesota Wild, covering that puck line, the Ducks staying under that team total. So that's where I'm going. 6 in the Central here for the Wild. Let's look at the next game. We have the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the LA Kings. In this one, Chicago, if I can find the lines, just bear with me a second. Chicago plus 285, minus 360 here for the LA Kings. Total 5.5, minus 120 to the over, minus 102 to that under. Looking at this one, it's hard to find value. I'm going to look at the Kings in the first period, just come out, get up in this first period and then be done with it. The first period puck line for the LA Kings laying the half of goals minus 106. They've won the last 3 meetings, the last one being in March on the 15th. So 4 days ago, they won in Chicago 5-0. That was on Friday. We've seen the Chicago Blackhawks lose their last 4 first periods as a dog. That's why I'm going to go with the Kings here in the first period on the puck line. I don't see a way that Chicago pulls off an upset in LA, but we know LA has been frustrating to bet in some of these games because they've been losing some of these games that they shouldn't. They're off that loss to the Dallas Stars, in which they allowed the Stars to get 4 goals in that last game. Now, this is also the first game home off a road trip. They went 1-2 on that road trip, and it's the first night of a back-to-back. They play the Minnesota Wild tomorrow. So when you're looking at those Wild lines, versus the Ducks, remember that they play the Kings tomorrow as well. So look ahead situation for both of these teams, which is normally a place I love to look at that underdog, but I just can't. I can't get behind Chicago here. Even though we know Connor Bedard has been strong in some of these games, they're still sitting 8th in the Central. The Kings are 3rd in the Pacific. They need to hold on to this 3rd spot in the Pacific as well. They can't let it go. And they're risking, if they lose this one, letting that go. Now, Kempe for the anytime goal for the LA Kings is coming in at plus 145, and I do like that. It should be interesting to see. Yeah, Kev, so I saw that team total under 1.5 for the Chicago Blackhawks as well at plus 130. And I wanted a 2.5, and I kind of panicked a little bit and then stayed off of that there. But I do think Chicago absolutely struggles to score in this one. So Kev taking that plus 120 or plus 130, especially with Cam Talbot in net tonight for the Kings, as long as he's got that confirmation of him being in net, I do think is a really solid way to go. Now, before I start off the show, I wasn't seeing confirmations here, but we do have him listed for the Kings on FanDuel, so he definitely will be out. Now, his safe shots on goal is 24.5, and I wouldn't take that to the over or under. That number is too dead on. We know the LA Kings are strong on the defensive side, and they need to start utilizing their defense to be able to lock down here. The Chicago Blackhawks, do we even trust them to get 21 shots on goal in this game? Probably not. So I would not touch Cam Talbot because I don't like taking goalie props to the under, but I would go under before I went over in that one all day. The next game, 10 p.m. Eastern for this one as well. We've got 2 more to go over, you guys. So sorry, it's a long show coming up to that 42-minute mark. We'll get these off as soon as possible. The Buffalo Sabres and the Vancouver Canucks, 10 o'clock Eastern. We have the current lines, minus 192 here for the Vancouver Canucks and plus 158 for the Buffalo Sabres. That total of 6.5, minus 132 to the under and plus 108 to the over. Okay, Vancouver, we know. Vancouver is so phenomenally strong at home on the season, but they've been struggling. Their last 7 home games, they've gone 2-3-2 at home. It hasn't been the home ice advantage that we're used to for Vancouver. Can they get the win, though, over the Buffalo Sabres tonight? Now, the Buffalo Sabres are off the game versus the Seattle Kraken last night, in which they were able to pull off the upset on the road as the dog, getting a nice big win. This team is fighting like crazy to be able to get a wild card spot. But a second night of a back-to-back here is a really hard place versus the Vancouver Canucks, who have lost those last 2 games. The Capitals was that last one at home on Saturday, so they're rested coming into this one. They lost it 2-1. I do think Vancouver comes out hard and fast right out of the gate. I'm looking for the goal in the first 5 minutes. Now, the goal in the first 5 minutes can be by either team, and that's what I like about this bet, because the Buffalo Sabres, we saw them last night. What was it? 3 goals in the first period? And those goals coming in so fast in that first period, it was absolutely crazy. The goal in the first 5 minutes coming in this game at plus 168. Looking at the goaltending matchup gives me even more faith in this goal here, because we've got Levi in for the Sabres. He's got a 3.30 goals against average and an 891 save percentage. And Casey DeSmith still out there, not Demko. Now, Casey DeSmith's been playing a lot of games, and I know it's been since Saturday, but still, Casey DeSmith is the backup goalie. He normally doesn't get used as much. So he's got a 2.87 goals against average and a 898 save percentage. Between both of these teams and the strong offensive push I think we'll get out of them, right out of the gate, one of these teams is going to score right away. So the goal in the first 5 minutes coming in at plus 168. I do think when you look at Vancouver at home, with how strong they ultimately are on the season at home, they've been strong on that puck line at home as well, 19-13 on the puck line. But you do have the Sabres 20-13 on the road on the puck line. I would lean to the puck line here for Vancouver because the Sabres are on the second night of the back-to-back. That's coming in at, let me just make sure odds haven't changed on that, -1.5 at plus 130. So the value is there on Vancouver to cover the puck line for the full game. All I'm going to bet is the goal in the first 5 minutes because it does worry me a little bit. We look here at the Buffalo Sabres, 43 games this season that they've been the underdog. They have won 18 of those. So that is 41.9% of those bets as an underdog. And when you look at the value you would have got if you're taking them in those games when they're plus 200 underdogs, it's been a moneymaker for people. Now, in this one, they're not a plus 200. They're only a plus 158 underdog in this. Could they pull off another win in Vancouver? Yes, with how Vancouver has been playing at home as of late, but I don't think so. So just give me the goal in the first 5 minutes, and I would lean to Vancouver to win this and cover the puck line. Now, Jeff Skinner, Tage Thompson have been phenomenally strong for the Sabres. Skinner was able to get the hat trick last night. Tage Thompson, Alex Tuch each had a goal and an assist. So looking at these players again tonight, they're going to be rolling in here with momentum. I think this game goes over that total. Like I said, if I'm taking a goal in the first 5 minutes, it's because I can't trust goaltending here as well. And with how strong the offenses are, I think we're going to have a high scoring one. So over 6.5 is plus 108. I think there will be a point in this game where we can look at live betting it to the under, especially if we see a really strong first period here. And then we'll look to take the under. But as for now, the over 6.5 is where I'd go. The last game, we have made it through all of these games, you guys. The Tampa Bay Lightning and the Vegas Golden Knights. Now, Andre Vasilevsky in net for Tampa. Vegas, Adin Hill. He's been shaky this last month. They are off the win versus the Devils, in which he came out strong. But I don't know how much I trust Adin Hill right now. So the Tampa Bay Lightning at plus 116 screams a bet for me. -140 here for Vegas at home. Total of 6.5. -105 to the over, -115 to the over. I do think if this game goes as I expect it to go, we will go over that total. So that is where I'm going. You look at the Vegas Golden Knights, they've given up 36 goals in their last 10 games. So they're allowing an average of 3.6 goals per game in their last 10. We know that the Tampa Bay Lightning have been shaky on the defensive side of the puck, especially on the road this season. It's not a defense I can trust either. So the over 6.5, absolutely screaming at me. The overtime is screaming at me because I do think 3-3 go to overtime in this one at plus 350. The last 5 meetings have been 1-goal games. So this plus 350 for this one to go to overtime has so much value. I think this is a super tight game here. I'm willing to put some money on the Tampa Bay Lightning going into this because I'm getting the plus money with them. I don't think Vegas should be a -140 favorite in this one with how Adin Hill's been playing. Now, Tampa did win back in December, 5-4 in Tampa. Vegas won 3 of the last 5, though. So Vegas does have the upper hand when we look at them in those last 5 games, but I think the Lightning can get the win. Kucherov for 2+ points is coming in at plus 250. He has 4 goals and 16 assists in the last 10 games. So he has been absolutely hot for the Tampa Bay Lightning. I would look at Stamkos as well to come out nice and strong. We know Jack Eichel has been impactful since he's been back on the ice for Vegas as well. So I would look at him. But again, over 6.5, the Tampa Bay Lightning. Kucherov for 2+ points, Stamkos for the anytime goal, maybe, and then overtime at plus 350 Jack Eichel as well if you want to put something on Vegas. But you guys, that was it for me. I know I cannot believe MLB is back. You guys, let me know who your baseball team is. I'm thinking of doing run 'em up like we did last season. I don't know if all of you watched my run 'em up show where we were talking about a handful. Instead of going over the full slate like I do here on Puckett with Joe, run 'em up was just, 3-4 games that I have circled on the day. So let me know, Orioles fans in the house. You guys don't judge each other on who you're fans of, okay? Game of the night, yeah. Should be. There's going to be some fantastic games tonight. Lightning on the money line. Dodgers. My daughter is a Dodgers fan as well. Pretty exciting for you guys. So, Kev, let's get this money tonight, you guys. Phillies fans, look at all of you guys. Anyone else a Toronto Blue Jays fan? Where's my hat? So, I am a Toronto Blue Jays fan because I live in Canada. So, I don't know. I can't go off my team. Anyway, let's make some freaking money on the ice tonight so we have more money to roll over into MLB this week. It's going to be an exciting week having everything back. I can't wait to bet the Nerfies, the first 5 of the strikeout props, the home run props. It's going to be so much fun. First 5 innings is my favorite bet. Take the bullpen out of it. Too many bullpens have ruined my bets. That is for sure. Mountcastle loves the Blue Jays. Okay, you guys. Have a good one. Keep smiling. I'm on Game Time Decisions in the next 30 minutes here, so make sure you join me. We'll be going over 6 of these later games on the slates with just my best bet in each. We don't talk over them as much. You guys get a lot more detail into my thought process here, but you get quick, short answers on what I'm liking over there. So if you like the short process, definitely join me on Game Time Decisions. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's with Kevin Walsh. We always also dive into other things I hadn't been thinking of because he throws questions at me just like you guys do here, which I absolutely love because it's walked us into, Connor Bedard for the 2+ goals at that plus 1,200 mark. It walks us into a lot of player props that I didn't originally circle. So make sure you come over to Game Time Decisions. Get the SportsGrid app, you guys. It is absolutely phenomenal. My bets in hockey, there will be some baseball, everything over there. You can follow your favorite hosts as well and get notifications when we're live. I'm so glad you guys are loving the SportsGrid app. You guys have a good one. Keep smiling. Let's do it again tomorrow. I'll see you then.